Strigiformes lat. Strigiformes is a large order of birds of prey, uniting over 250 species that nature has masterfully adapted to life in twilight and darkness. Evolution has gifted them a unique set of tools for night hunting, making them nearly perfect predators under the cover of night. The order is clearly divided into two families. The bulk are the typical owls. Strigidae, these include eagle owls, wood owls, pygmy owls, long-eared owls, and many others. They form the core of the order, occupying a wide range of niches, from the polar tundra to tropical jungles. The second family is the barn owls, Titanidae, much more modest in number of species, but no less interesting. Barn owls are distinguished by their characteristic heart-shaped facial disc and a unique structure of their talons. Most owls are committed night birds. Only a minority are active at twilight, the so-called crepuscular species, and very few, like the hawk owl or some members of the pygmy owl genus, lead an exclusively diurnal lifestyle. This specialization has allowed them to avoid competition with diurnal predators and to master the niche where silence and darkness reign. Owls have a rich fossil history. Their ancestors were already navigating the night skies in the Middle Paleocene, about 60 million years ago, shortly after the extinction of the dinosaurs. Over this time, they have changed little. Found fossils demonstrate the same characteristic body architecture as in modern species. Nature found a successful form and didn't bother redesigning it. Most owls are dressed in modest, camouflage attire, brown, gray, ochre tones that make them virtually invisible against tree bark or in the twilight forest. But the real wonders are hidden in the details. Nature assembled the owl like a precision mechanism. Their huge, forward-facing eyes are immovably fixed in massive eye sockets. An owl cannot roll its eyes, so nature compensated with the unique ability to turn its head up to 270 degrees, or even more. Around the eyes is the facial disc, a special feather structure that acts like a parabolic antenna. It captures and directs sounds towards the ear openings. The owl's beak is sharp, curved downwards from the base, a perfect tool for tearing apart prey. And the feathers on their wings have a velvety surface with special serrated edges that slice through the air without a single sound. The owl approaches its victim completely silently, death that cannot be heard. All sizes vary surprisingly widely, from the tiny elf owl, only 13 centimeters, to true giants like Blakiston's fish owl and the Eurasian eagle owl, reaching 70 centimeters or more. The smallest representative could fit in the palm of a hand. The largest is capable of carrying off a hair. Owls have colonized all continents except frozen Antarctica. They feel at home in dense forests, open tundra, and scorching deserts. About 10 species are regularly found in the Czech Republic, for example, the tawny owl or the long-eared owl. The diet of most owls consists of insects and small mammals, voles, shrews, mice. In a single night, an owl can catch several dozen rodents, providing enormous benefits to agriculture. They also do not disdain small birds and bats. Large species, like eagle owls, hunt more substantial prey, rabbits, squirrels, young martens. And some specialized species, like fish owls, have mastered catching fish, spotting them from overhanging branches. Owls are loyal. They form monogamous pairs, often lasting for many years, sometimes for life. They do not build nests as such. The female lays eggs directly on the bottom of a hollow, in a rock crevice, in the attic of an abandoned building, or in a nest box specially put up by humans. Incubation lasts about a month, approximately 25 to 30 days. During this time, the male feeds the female and guards the territory. In the cultures of different peoples, the owl has left a contradictory mark. For the ancient Greeks, it was a companion of Athena, the goddess of wisdom, and to this day it is considered a symbol of knowledge. But in many other traditions, the owl was associated with death, darkness, and witchcraft. Its nocturnal lifestyle, silent flight, and frightening calls made it a harbinger of doom in the eyes of superstitious people. Due to these prejudices, owls are still sometimes persecuted, even though they are among the most beneficial birds for humans. Behind every scientific name lies a story, and the order of owls, Strigiformes, is no exception. The author of the order's description is considered to be the German naturalist Johann Georg Wagler, who in 1830 identified a group of birds under the name striges. Later, in 1899, the English ornithologist Richard Bowdler Sharp standardized the name to its modern form, Strigiformes. But the word striges itself has roots in deep antiquity. It is the Latin plural of strix, a term the Romans used not so much for owls themselves, but for a mythical vampire bird, a night terror that drank the blood of infants. Compare this with the Latin striga, a vampire or evil spirit, usually female. And the Romans themselves borrowed this word from Greek, where sigmadaros I was one of the names for owls. Thus, a thread stretches from the scientific term back to ancient superstitions. Owls have frightened people for centuries, and the memory of this is frozen in their official name. In older systematics, owls were often contrasted with diurnal birds of prey, or even included within them as a suborder. In Czech literature from the late 19th century, one can find an expressive division: nocturnal predators, owls, and diurnal predators, eagles, falcons, hawks, and others. Today, we know that the similarity between owls and diurnal raptors is the result of convergent evolution, the independent appearance of similar traits in different groups, not close kinship. They are united by a predatory lifestyle, but biologically they are quite distant from each other. Nevertheless, the folk logic that divided feather hunters into day and night shifts has proven surprisingly accurate. Tracing the evolution of birds through fossil remains is a devilishly difficult task. Their bones are fragile, rare, and often so fragmented that determining their belonging to a specific group is almost impossible. But owls are a happy exception. Their paleontological record, compared to other modern birds, is unexpectedly rich and informative. In 1975, scientists described two genera, Bradycneme and Heptasteornis, as supposedly being the most ancient owls, living as far back as the Upper Cretaceous period, before the dinosaurs went extinct. But modern taxonomy brought clarity. These creatures turned out not to be owls, but representatives of a completely different branch, theropod dinosaurs. So owls, like most modern birds, took to the skies only after the meteorite impact. The oldest undisputed ancestors of owls date back to the Middle Paleocene, about 60 to 61 million years ago. These are Ogygoptynx from Colorado and Bearwarnies from France and Germany. However, mostly only isolated leg bones remain from them, metatarsi and tibiotarsi. From such fragments, it is difficult to understand exactly when owls acquired their famous features: huge eyes, facial disc, silent flight. A true treasure trove for paleontologists is the early Eocene, about 55 million years ago. In Wyoming, USA, an excellently preserved skeleton of an owl from the genus Primoptynx was found. This half-meter predator lived around the same time when the ancestors of horses were the size of a cat. But the main oddity: in Primoptynx, the first and second toes were longer than in modern owls, like those of hawks. Scientists suggest that this owl hunted differently. It didn't grab prey with all four toes, but pierced it, like diurnal raptors. This means that in the early Eocene, owls were still experimenting with hunting styles. At the same time lived owls of the genus Eostrix, among them the smallest known owl in history, Eostrix galatai, only 12 centimeters long. And alongside them were giants, occupying completely different ecological niches. Already in the Eocene, owls were morphologically and ecologically diverse, having colonized different habitats on 3 continents. About 34 million years ago, at the Eocene-Oligocene boundary, many stem group owls went extinct. Possibly, this was connected to the spread of diurnal birds of prey, which competed with them. But it was precisely then that the ancestors of the 2 modern families began to appear: the barn owls, Titonidae, and the typical owls, Strigidae. In the early and middle Miocene, roughly 20 to 15 million years ago, we already find in Europe, including the territory of present-day Czech Republic and Germany, fossil owls that can be confidently assigned to modern genera: Tyto, barn owls; Asio, eared owls; Bubo, eagle owls; Strix, wood owls; Cernia, hawk owls; and Glossidium, pygmy owls. They are so similar to today's owls that if they were next to us, we wouldn't notice the difference. Evolution polished the form, and for the last few million years, owls have remained practically unchanged, perfect nocturnal hunters. Owls live right beside us, yet we still know almost nothing about them. They see the world completely differently. In their world, there is no fuss, but there is room for silence, wisdom, and nighttime secrets. Maybe that's why we gaze into their eyes with such fascination, as if trying to glimpse answers to questions we're afraid to ask during the day. If you couldn't sleep tonight, know that you weren't alone. Someone hooted back in response to your thoughts. Subscribe to peer into the most interesting things together. And may the night be kind to you.